Hey guys, it's Matt. Today's Midnight Reality is about a book that was sent to my attention. It sums up our reality in words better than anything that I've ever seen, probably better than anything that exists. That's a bold statement. We'll get to that book in a few minutes. I've spoken to the author. He's given me permission to read a few passages. If you like it, we'll continue to do it as long as he's okay with me continuing to do it. We'll get to that in a few minutes. In response to yesterday's video about the Obama zombies, Bill unexpectedly sent, everything that comes in from Bill is unexpected. I don't tell him what to do, or he just, these posters just come in. It says, Obama zombies and Ozzy Osbourne celebrate their unique brain damage. You know, I don't know exactly what this means, but it's Bill's hit the nail on the head. I mean, he's equating a whole legion of Obama zombies to Ozzy Osbourne and his brand of brain damage. And by the way, a few people got on me because I ripped Ozzy. This love of Ozzy is very strange. I went out the day Ozzy died. He died. No David Bowie Island. No. Some people that do hardcore drugs for 55 years with no days off, they do actually die. I don't think he's on David Bowie Island, and he's probably not a good enough performer anymore anyway. I went to a NASCAR video that got my attention. Matt, you watched a NASCAR video? Sergeant Eversman, you respect the skinnies? No, he says, you like the skinnies? I don't like them. I respect the skinnies. That's from Black Hawk Down, sorry. I went in every 15th comment under the NASCAR video about racing was rip Ozzy, rest in peace, oh, Ozzy. Give me a break. This guy lied. I could do a whole video on this fraud. He lied to everybody with that MTV show. He bobbled around like he had some sort of brain damage. It was an act. His whole act of being retarded was just to make himself popular again. I mean, then he goes and plays a perfect concert when he's supposedly brain damaged and he's retarded. He lied to everyone. Anyway, this love of Ozzy is very strange to me. Had a unique voice. The Ozzy sound vocally is unique, but come on. It's not like Elvis just died or something. Give me a break. Guys, when I start reading from Jeth's book, it's Geth, by the way, not Jeff. This will become a much more reciteer presentation. Another file came in from Bill the other day, just simply titled David Bowie Island Jog. And I opened it up and saw this. Terrence Howard. How'd you like to work for me? On the right, that's Santa Claus Schwab. On the right. It's not, by the way, the real people that are considered alive, whatever this strange entity is, Tony called them sequentials, that runs things here. They can go to David Bowie Island for performances, for six sex act, strange magenta speedboat rides. They can go off to David Bowie Island, but then they come back into the real world. Some people, like Michael Jackson, go to David Bowie Island and just stay there and perform. It's not just for the so-called fake dead. You knew that, right? And then meanwhile on David Bowie Island, and that's Dr. F trying to do the jog with him. He's all fat and out of shape. He wouldn't be able to lead that jog. Santa Claus Schwab. And all Terrence in the back, all he cares about is spouting out his 2 + 2 = 5. Actually, his big claim to fame is even more simple than that. It's 1 × 1 = 2. Not 1. How'd they let that jerk into the Oxford Union Hall debate? He didn't debate anybody, just gave a fake lecture that he memorized. Where was the debate? Put one of us at the podium against that fraud. Sorry, this is supposed to be I'll just say it for those that don't understand that word. It's supposed to be a serious presentation. Let me get right to it. Sorry. Okay, here's the book. It's called The Game is Fixed, Finding Truth in the False Reality. Jeth Fouts. I have spoken to him. Unless it's the greatest act of all time. Just seems a regular guy. Some regular guy lives in Kansas. Just trying to make it and get by day to day just like we are. Now let me address and appeal to the first grade truther angry mob. The first grade, maybe through third grade truther, angry mob. That'll say,
Matt, oh my God, look, it's a Star of David on the cover. Oh my God, this is a deception. This is a secret society of some kind, Matt. Oh my God.
Look, I asked him The first grade truth or angry mob is going to just, oh my God, it's the star. First off, I asked him about it. I said, I'm going to need to explain this to the first grade truth or angry mob. But second of all, these symbols, esoteric symbols, go back thousands and thousands of years. Just because a country in the 1940s decided to slap it on a flag and you think they're evil people, it doesn't really mean anything. The Nazis took an ancient symbol too, called the swastika, that has Vedic roots that go back about 4,000 years, and Buddhist roots. Maybe it doesn't matter. So hopefully we've cleaned out all the first grade truthers anyway. Maybe if you slap the yin and yang over it, it means something else. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Second of all, I'm not recommending this book because I can't. I'm only on page 120 something. Some of the ways he's put the predicament of our reality and your spiritual self in it is put and written so well. I called him and said, I've got to start reading passages. Because, we dabble in these things. Matt has his idiotic half page. But the way he's put this down into words is like nothing I've ever seen. Now, he said, Matt, I get into things like on the back end, like manifestation and the law of attraction. And I don't, I'm kind of worried that I'm not sure I stand by some of the things in the back. I said, I don't care what's in the back. I can't recommend the book until I read it all. And I go through things slowly, maybe 5 to 10 pages a day sometimes. Some days I won't read it all. So I may recommend it when I get finished, but I can't now, of course, because I'm only on page 120 something. But the 25, 30 sections I've underlined or more, I said I've got to we've used this as a springboard for discussion because it's so well put. And I'm going to hear crap like this from the first through third grade truther, angry mob.
Matt, look at this, Matt. I'm reading the first sentence of the second paragraph, Matt. Oh,
it says, our earth-world construct exists as a platform by which God may experience selfhood. God may experience itself.
Oh, Matt, you're not falling for this crap. God put itself into thousands of pieces, trillions of thousands of pieces, and then it wants to experience itself. That's new, Matt. That's new age.
Look, I don't care what label you want to put on it. It certainly isn't Christian. If the Christians want to just do earmuffs every time we do Jeth's book, I can't stop you. Earmuffs, you can say cock, balls, earmuffs. It's not very Christian. God put this whole place there. We're an element of God. Okay, call it whatever you want. Slap your little labels on it. Section by section. As I said many times, if Satan was giving a lecture down here in the park, the Brightside Farm or whatever it is up here, I would go listen because we're adult enough and we've been through this long enough to discern what we need to discern. Take away the truth and we'll be able to see through the falsehoods. The way certain things are described, no matter what his ultimate belief set is, and whether it agrees with you or not, is irrelevant. The way certain things are described as to how this reality works, I think are absolutely unparalleled. All right, let me read just over a page here, uninterrupted, no Matt commentary, starting at page 4. It's the very first thing I underlined. It's not the most profound thing in the book, but it'll give you a sense as to how this book reads and where Jeth is coming from. So it'll be 3 or 4 minutes. We may not even recognize higher truths as being true until we reach certain plateaus of self-awareness. The false reality is designed to prevent us and our consciousness, prevent it from naturally recognizing these things, that all of its paradigms accentuate the lower, animalistic, materialistic truths and invalidate or ignore higher spiritual truths. With our collective expressing this more reactionary state, it then serves us panaceas and reprieves which confuse positive and negative, leading to self-destructive ideologies and behavior, and encouraging the relinquishment of self-determination in the name of security. So, relative to the conspiracy angle, the point I'm making is that in a manner of speaking, the entire paradigm as we are now experiencing it is a conspiracy. And for a situation of this magnitude to actually be true, yet remain largely hidden, there must necessarily be forces at work that exceed our full understanding, lest holes be poked in this false reality's presentations, leading to its dissolution. Yet as it stands, the vast, vast majority of us have no awareness of this overlay at all, accepting at face value the many falsehoods it presents to us. In part, this is because we are actually helping to give these falsehoods life and sustain them. Thus, it's not truly an overlay, but a foundation. We could speculate as to who the reality architects are and how it is all being carried out. But if one believes, as I do, that everything here is happening for a reason, and that this reason is ultimately serving to expand consciousness, then going to get bad guys or outing bad guys serves more as a distraction than as a productive endeavor. This is a fine line to walk, for we naturally want to have the who done it, and why answered before we can consider the what is happening. Thus, I have no intent of engaging the false reality in an adversarial sense. This book is simply meant to help with one's recognition of it, which is the only real way that it can be contended with anyhow. Suffice to say, the false reality is serving a purpose in the grand scheme of soul evolution, so it does not need to be attacked. For if it were not serving us, we would not find ourselves in it. This may seem like a paradoxical position to take on the situation, but I believe that it is the correct one, although somewhat of a gross oversimplification. It is true in its broadest terms. There are many fear-based theories, fear-based narratives that might be consulted, but if we can just manage to get past the hurdle of fear, the importance of our own consciousness's power and sovereignty will be seen for what it is, with no other being or entity having the final say in our self-determination, unless we willingly give ourselves over to them. Okay, before diving into the details on that short passage, just an overview as to where Jeth is coming from, very similar to what we've been talking about here for years and the beliefs of myself and the old guard, that Wayne's diagram, all of this for me, that whatever bad guy exists here, whatever the structure of this reality is, no matter how evil, no matter how unfair it seems at times, Jeth would agree with myself and the old guard that it's all here for us. It can be pretty tough at times, of course, but it is all here for us. And yes, he does. I don't know if he uses the word school, but he does use learning experience and words like expansion of consciousness and the growth of spirit and things like that. Yes, he would say school. So he is on board with what we've been talking about. It's all here for us. But what about this suffering? Oh, it's here for us. Well, what about this? How do you explain the abuse of this child? You get into the specifics, it can be difficult. Every entity here may not be the same as you. There could be NPCs. There could be circumstances that where it's not happening to the real spiritual being. Maybe it is. You get into the weeds too much, you lose the main point. In general, most of the old guard agrees with what I've been saying, what Jeth is saying in the book. All of this is here for us. Now, Jeth goes on to say we are just a small aspect of initial creation, etc., etc. We'll get into that some other time. But it's the exact opposite of what I call the first grade truther mindset, that first, second, third, fourth grade truther. What are they? Focus on the bad guy. Secret societies, Freemasons, the country in the Middle East and the Levant, and you know the Bibi Netanyahu and the bad. If you focus on the bad guys, and it's exactly what the false reality he calls it. He doesn't call it something dumb, a dumb name like not milk. He calls it over and over again false reality. He hasn't named it a dumb name like I have, like not milk. He calls it a Kaiser blade. I calls it a sling blade. It's the same thing. If you focus on the bad guy here and not see that, first off, it's all for us. Second off, whatever the bad guy does in some way is a reflection of us, which wouldn't even be allowed to take place if the collective consciousness wasn't seeking down in lower frequency and lower vibration. Ultimately, this is where Jeth, J-E-T-H, not Jeff, is coming from. Okay, this really irritates the first grade through fifth grade truther.
Aren't you going to call out a bad guy? What about what about that country in the Middle East that controls everything?
No, the graduate level truther sees that this is just a lower level game and we need to rise above it. If you focus on the bad guy and getting him and calling him out and finding him and putting spotlight on the bad guy, you have lost and fallen for one of the most basic reality tricks that exist here. Going back to what specifically Jeth wrote and what I read in the first section, all of its, with it being the false reality, all of its paradigms accentuate the lower animalistic and materialistic truths and invalidate or ignore higher spiritual truths. Yeah, I mean, this goes back to the reality gives itself away lists from years ago. Many ways the reality gives itself away as being false. And one way that I talked about was in terms of its presentations through its authority figures. It's Neil of the Grass-Fed and Mitch Pikachu and its scientists and its news people. It's Don Lemons of the world. Wasn't he hopefully fired from CNN? What a low creature he was, Don Lemon. Well, whatever it may be that the Not Milk presents, not only do they just not talk about the spiritual side of an individual equally to the materialism and the physical. They either pretend it doesn't even exist or they take the opposite position against it, whether it be a certain facet of science or whatever. It's not, talk about not balanced. It's, I was going to say 99 point whatever, the materialist, as Jeth wrote, the animalistic side, it's 100% to zero. To you and me, the not milk doesn't even acknowledge that you may have a spiritual side. And if it does, then it does it through the Catholic Church and giant infrastructure. And you think that's to get you to the right place? Or do you think that's to lead you astray? I'll give you two guesses, but you're only going to need one. And in the next paragraph that I read, Jeth wrote, "And for a situation of this magnitude to actually be true, yet remain largely hidden, there must necessarily be forces at work that exceed our full understanding." No doubt about it. I mean, this is a supernatural realm, a fluid reality. Our senses, as we've talked about, take in 1%. There are things going on here. Will have no idea how certain things come to be or come to pass or are constructed or put forth or pulled off until we have full discernment. We are governed down while in the body. We don't take in 99% of the information. We might understand it fully at the moment of death. Who knows? But it says here, for this to all be happening and being pulled off and to remain largely hidden, we are potentially the first era, at least the truth research community of this era, is potentially the first group to completely see through it. Not because we're smarter than our ancestors or the ancients, because in some sort of desperation mode, it has revealed itself to us in a way that it has not revealed itself to the common man or common woman before. Okay? We said it's not because we're smarter. It has given itself away. It has flashed us, remember? With its disgusting, smelly raincoat. Maybe it had to, per the cycle of the Kali Yuga, or whatever, whether it's desperate or it's coming to a finish line, it had to give itself away. This was probably not so as it seems in our past, or whatever you believe history is. Its presentation, like we talked about, was more believable, was more reciteer, more professionally constructed. It is completely broken down. Back to the book and what I read before. Yet as it stands, the vast, vast majority of us have no awareness of this overlay at all, accepting at face value the many falsehoods it presents to us. In part, this is because we are actually helping to give these falsehoods life and sustain them. Thus, it is not truly an overlay, but a foundation. Thus, we are actually helping to give these falsehoods life and sustain them. If I remember several other parts of Jeth's book that I've read, for whatever reason, maybe it's not people's time or young soul versus old soul or whatever it may be, the trick by itself cannot be pulled off against everybody's free will. That's the first grade truth position or the third grade truth position. In a way, those being tricked, as Jeth describes much more eloquently than I can talk about it in different parts of this book, they want to be tricked, no doubt about it. You know, somebody like Tony might say, this is actually the life that their higher self has chosen, to be fooled, to be tricked. How could being fooled and being tricked serve the higher self or the spiritual part of them that's not here? Some would say it absolutely does. Either way, Jeth and I would agree that all this, the first grade or the third grade truth position is these bad guys, these poor souls here are being tricked. These poor souls here, they wouldn't want what's happening to them. No, and many absolutely want to be tricked, or even if it's just a small percentage, because the false reality can't exist on its own without real spiritual beings. The people want to be fooled to a degree. Of course they do. We know that. It's just apparent to us where the first grade truther is a bad guy and a good guy. People don't want to be tricked. There's the bad guys, and the infrastructures are the secret societies. Come on, man. Come on, sir. The people themselves, that the real spirits are not allowing this in a sick way, wanting what's happening, in a sick way, needing what's happening. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. I provide the type of freedom that you... No, that's what... Matt, stop turning into a movie all the time. Well, I just saw that the other day. A Few Good Men. Colonel Jessup isn't going to admit on this stand that he ordered the code red. Yes, he is. That's our only case to get Corporal Downey and Dawson off. So, Matt, stop it. Sorry. We could speculate about who the architects are and how it is all being carried out. But if one believes, as I do, that everything is happening for a reason, and that reason is ultimately serving to expand consciousness, then outing bad guys, going to get bad guys, serves more as a distraction than as a productive endeavor. Exactamundo. The reality, once again, gives itself away. Why does it present so many bad guys? It's so obvious. It's the rule of opposites. The more bad guys it presents, sir, rule of opposites, there is no bad guy then to find. There is no boss level to find. It's constructed as part of the reality itself. And if it was constructed as part of the reality itself by your spiritual higher self or your God or whatever your beliefs are, then it's all here for you and meant to be. It's so blatantly obvious, the rule of opposites.
Anunnaki, archons, secret societies, the Council of Rome, all the different organizations, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations, the country in the Middle East, and then we've got more the gray aliens, and then we got these aliens, and the Palladians or whatever. We got the lizard people and the reptilians. It just goes on forever. Well, you just step back. You don't even have to step back that far and say, well, all this can't be happening. That's ridiculous. Absolutely. It wants me to pick a bad guy. Then it wants me to get in the weeds and do about 10 years of research on it. And then, well, if it wants me to do that, this obviously has to be a distraction. From what? From the half page and the worry about yourself. Worry about yourself activities and doing what the reality provides, the spirit here, and taking advantage of all this reality provides the real spiritual being. Of course, it's a game. It's a distraction. If anybody's chosen a bad guy, do you know how fiddle and bends low? You know how first grade truth that is? It's almost not even worth talking about anymore. It's so pathetic. Jeth writes, I have no intent of engaging the false reality in an adversarial sense. Of course not. Of course not. But that's what it wants. That's what it baits the first grade that's what it baits maybe the 10th, 11th grade truther to do. You're getting close to the graduate level when you say, wait a second, it wants me with my picket signs, and it wants me arguing against it and protesting it and out on the street and trying to go put the bad guys in jail. It wants me engaged in all that. It dangles these carrots knowing whoever protests against it or organizes against it will never get anywhere anyway, because this is its boxing ring. This is its domain. I still hear bullshit from people, even in our own group, that someday we'll win or truth always wins. No, it doesn't. Not here. It does not. We're here to lose this game, but win personally, win spiritually. In terms of what's out there, we're here to lose. The Melvin P. of the Belinda and Melvin P. Gates Foundation, they're here to win. Do you want to be like them? You want to be like Mike? I don't think so. This game, it's okay to lose.
I'm happy to be a loser here in terms of what its metrics are for success and fame and adulation. Is that a word? I just kind of made that up or something. Adulation. I think it is. Sometimes it just comes out. I don't even know what it means. But what's more important, to win here and you get the magenta speedboat and you win that showcase showdown? Bid $1, or is it more important to win spiritually and to progress and to do what we are supposed to do here spiritually, so you don't have to do it again? No more material planes of existence. Of course, one side is maybe, I was going to say, hundreds of trillions of times more important than the other side. But the side of winning here, in terms of its metrics for success, has no importance. So there is no times. Terrence Howard wouldn't even understand this. You can't even say times, because one is zero and one is, so the material if you ever got a key to the city, what do you think I'm going to say, old guard? You a real loser. If you ever rewarded with a key to the city, or some sort of award from a or you got the big golden penis of Osiris because you were best actor or something. There's a big golden phallus they hand you and you hold it up in the air, and they actually kiss the head. Some of those actors and actresses kiss the head. Do you know what you're kissing, boy? That's again, it's pretty simple. By that token, then, if by the metrics of what's here, in every box you check off loser, then potentially, if you do the right things and then worry about yourself activities, and you do the spiritual work, you could be the biggest winner of all time. I'll read one more paragraph from Jeth's book that I haven't read yet. Although transitioning to a more personal mode of discernment is a normal and natural stage of evolution that all souls must go through, the overlay of our false reality adds some formidable speed bumps to the trip. In fact, as a collective, it has us in a virtual roundabout, repeating the same mistakes over and over again. Thus, as it currently stands, many flawed concepts are being upheld, despite their futility remaining on perpetual display. This is Matt interjecting. What is space? Who's traveled there? When people have traveled? The whole notion of the cosmos, what the planets are, the stars are, who can travel, how space can be transverse, the new upcoming missions to Mars. That's just one of a million things that somehow, as Jeth writes, these concepts are being upheld, he writes, despite their futility remaining on perpetual display. And that Matt would add, to anybody that doesn't have their head up their ass. Continuing to read, Even those who are the most intelligent by traditional standards are not immune to being fooled, and will in fact often be found as the most strident proponents of the false reality paradigms. Like every university professor, not every, there's a few even that are here, all university professors except maybe 20. They're supposed to be the smartest. They're the most fooled. Jeth writes, nonetheless, this situation is exactly as it should be for all real spiritual beings. He says, for all involved. It is the environment that we have each chosen to experience. For all intents and purposes, we can look at it like a game. In my opinion, this is the most constructive perspective to take, at least as it concerns our current evolutionary position. The false reality is not to be feared or even fought against. I'll read one more paragraph and then I'll just end the video. It doesn't need any sort of Matt commentary. It's self-explanatory, goes right along with Wayne's diagram here. All of this just for me. Star Wars, there is no movie without the evil empire and Darth Vader. There is no hero's journey and Luke becoming who he eventually became to be without the bad guy. The duality of this place exists for the spiritual journey. This is okay. But he puts it again, Jeth puts it so well. Let me just close with this. In any case, when the nature of existence is deeply contemplated, it is realized that the concept of good versus evil is paradoxical, especially as it concerns time and the progression of cause and effect. For what appears on one hand something negative to be avoided and condemned actually becomes the very thing that allows the positive to learn what it is to be positive and why the positive is worth pursuing. It teaches the positive how to be positive. Eventually, it is realized that the state we desire to achieve is inextricably tied to the existence of the one we wish to eliminate. But more than merely eliciting an appreciation for what is good, the existence of evil is the very stimulus triggering true polarization of wisdom into the spiritual body. For it experientially teaches what following of untruths will lead to. For it, through experience, teaches what following the negative path or the untruths will lead to. You have to go through it, don't you? You have to live it. This reality can't be taught in a textbook. Sorry, Matt said he wouldn't say anything. You can tell which are my dumb comments versus what Jeth wrote. Broadly speaking, this is the lesson that the false reality is currently teaching the collective in stark fashion, as we are reaping what we have sown, both actively and passively. Although any individual might ascend through this process more quickly as an individual, the collective always goes through it slowly, i.e., learns the hard way. Thanks for listening.